Welcome back to my channel. I'm Joe with Smokin Joe's Pit BBQ. Are you a fan of beef jerky like I am, but maybe you're not 100% comfortable in making it? Well, this is a video for you. Stay tuned. All right, let's get started on this beef jerky for beginners video. I'm starting with an 8-pound beef Aya round. Now, when you're making beef jerky, you want to try to get a piece of meat that's really lean. So I'm going to take this out of the wrapper, and I did have it in my freezer for about 2 hours, so it's partially frozen, just to make it easy to trim and slice. So whenever I make beef jerky, I like using the beef Aya round again because it's a very lean piece of meat. Now we do have some fat on the surface, and all you want to do is try to remove most of the fat. So you don't want fat in your beef jerky because that can actually spoil on you pretty quick and ruin the beef jerky entirely. Now if you're going to consume your beef jerky, let's say within a week, you're going to be fine leaving a little bit of fat, but my preference is not to leave that much fat on the beef jerky, because it can go rancid pretty quick. So all I'm doing is I'm taking my Dow Strong fillet knife and shaving a little bit of the fat at a time. I just want to expose that really nice, clean meat. All right, so as you can see, I've got half of this beef Aya round trimmed, just so you guys can see how much fat I've taken off. So I'm going to trim up the rest of this, and I'll bring you guys right back. All right, so I've got my beef Aya round all trimmed up. Now we started with 8 pounds, and I just weighed this, and we're down to 6 pounds, okay? So I trimmed about 2 pounds of fat, and naturally, you will cut off some of the meat, but that's just part of the process, okay? So again, just a reminder that this meat is partially frozen, which is gonna make it really easy, or easier, I should say, to trim up for your beef jerky. Now, I'm gonna be cooking this beef jerky in a dehydrator. So I'm cutting these strips, or these pieces of meat, about maybe 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 to about 1/4 of an inch, because these will shrink down, okay? You can see how thick I'm going right there, okay? Not too thin and not too thick. Now I do have a meat slicer, and yes, that would make it easier, but I have nothing else to do, so I'm just gonna cut this by hand. So if you notice, I am cutting this meat against the grain, okay? This is gonna give us a much softer beef jerky, just the way I like it. I don't want a really super tough piece of jerky. So I would highly recommend that you do cut your jerky against the grain. Just an overall better eating experience, if you will. So as I mentioned earlier, we started with 6 pounds of meat. And once this is ready, we'll probably go down to maybe 2.5 pounds of beef jerky. But it will be the best beef jerky you've ever had. Better than any store-bought beef jerky, that's for sure. And you made it yourself. All right, so I've got all the meat cut up. Now I'm just gonna place this in a plastic container and try not to have the meat overlap itself, okay? Just kind of loosely in there, if you will. All right, let's mix up our seasonings for our beef jerky. I'm gonna be using this jerky kit from PS Seasoning. This is their honey barbecue jerky kit. Now each kit will make 15 pounds. Now inside the jerky kit, you do get 3 pouches of jerky seasoning and 3 pouches of jerky cure. Now each one of these pouches is 56 grams, so I'm going to add 1 packet of seasoning and 1 package of the jerky cure. Now if you remember, I am starting with 6 pounds of meat, so I weighed it out. It comes out to 11.2 grams of cure per pound and 11.2 grams of seasoning per pound. So I just opened up one of the packages and weighed out 11.2 grams. Now I did weigh out the seasonings using this meat scale. If you guys don't have one and you're into jerky making or sausage making, I highly recommend this little scale right here from Meat. Check out the links below and grab yourself one. Now for every 5 pounds, you do need to add 1 cup of water. Since I am starting with 6 pounds, I added about 1 1/4 cups of water. So I'm just gonna mix this really well. All right, we got our seasonings all mixed up. Just gonna slide the meat over and pour this marinade all over our meat. I gotta tell you, these jerky kits make beef jerky making super simple. Now, as you start to get experience in making beef jerky, you can mix up your own seasonings, which I'll do in a future video. I know there's gonna be some folks out there that are gonna ask why we're using a jerky kit to make beef jerky. And I gotta tell you, I've made a lot of beef jerky, and I continue to use these jerky kits. They're super simple, easy to use. Plus, you don't have to buy 15 bottles of seasonings and cure and everything else. Everything is all mixed up for you. Now, I'm gonna add some more seasonings to this after this is marinated overnight. You want this meat to absorb this delicious seasoning that we just mixed up. So I'm gonna cover this up, pop it in my fridge for about 12 hours, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay tuned. All right, and just like that, it is the very next day. Let's take a look at our beef jerky. Oh yeah, changed color. You can definitely tell that the meat has absorbed a lot of our brine. Now there's some spots that are still kind of red, but that's okay. That's gonna work just fine. I could have gone in here and mixed it up a little bit, but I can tell you that the meat is definitely absorbed a lot of that marinade, okay? So I'm just gonna move the meat aside, and I do have my jerky rack right here, and I'll show you my dehydrator here in a minute. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the meat and just start to lay it on top of these racks. Now this jerky right now is a blank canvas. Even though this is a honey barbecue jerky kit, feel free to add any other spices. Just be mindful that you don't want to add any salt to the jerky, but you can add some things like I will. I'll show you that process here in a bit. Now the jerky is going to shrink up a little bit, but you don't want the jerky overlapping on each other, okay? Oh man, this jerky smells absolutely amazing. Well, it's not jerky yet. Well, is it jerky now or is it jerky when it's done? What do you guys say? Now this dehydrator that I'm going to be using has 10 racks. So I've got plenty of room. So I'm just going to add a little bit of red pepper flake to this jerky right here. Just sprinkle some of this on it. Little sweet and spicy action going on. All right, so on this jerky, I'm going to add some black pepper, just to one side. You can add as much or as little as you want. So you don't have to add anything on top of the jerky if you don't want to. Again, this is a jerky kit, the honey barbecue jerky, and that flavor alone is pretty good. But I want to kick it up a notch. So I'm going to add some black pepper to some and some red pepper flake to others. All right, just like that. I'm going to lay out the rest of these and I'll bring you guys right back. All right, so here's my meat dehydrator, and this is by the company Meat. Check them out at the links below if you guys are interested in getting one of these. This is a 10-drawer meat dehydrator. So I ended up using 5 racks. I'm going to put the ones with the red chili at the very bottom. And I left some plain. I'm going to put those up top. You can easily fit, I don't know, 15 pounds of beef jerky in here. Here's some more red chili. Put those close to each other. And I only made one with black pepper. I'm going to put that right in the middle. That way, if anything drips, it'll all season itself right there. And you do have a drip tray on the bottom just in case you do have some liquid that drips. So I'm going to close the door. I'm going to hit the power button. So right now it's set to time. I'm gonna cook these for probably, let's do 4.5 hours. Hit the time and temp button. I'm gonna cook these, let me see here, at 149 degrees for 4.5 hours. I'll bring you guys back 2.5 hours in. We'll check on the jerky. Stay tuned. All right, so we are at the 2-hour mark. Still have 2.5 hours to go. Let's check out our beef jerky. It shouldn't be too hot. Not at all, actually. But that's what our beef jerky looks like after 2 hours in the dehydrator. So as you can tell, the beef jerky is still a little bit pliable, but it has dried up quite a bit. We'll check back in about 2.5 hours. Stay tuned. All right, so after 5.5 hours, the jerky is ready. Now I did let them go for an additional hour because it wasn't 100% dry. And I just wanted to make sure our jerky was nice and dry. So I let it go for another hour. Now we just gotta peel this beef jerky off of these racks. And it is on there pretty good. I think we could have sprayed these racks with some Pam or something. Not too bad. So I'm just gonna grab a few pieces. All right, so here's my beautiful stack of beef jerky. Check that out. Here's our peppered beef jerky, red pepper flake, and here's our standard honey barbecue jerky. This is what you want to happen to your beef jerky. When you bend it, you don't want it to crack. You can see the meat fibers kind of turning white on there. That's exactly what you want. You can rip it apart. You can see those white fibers from the meat. That's exactly what you want. You don't want it to crack on you, okay? That is absolutely perfect. Same thing with our black pepper jerky. Look at that. Perfect. And the red pepper flake jerky. Again, it does not break, but it does crack. And you can see those white fibers from the meat. All right, let's give these bad boys a taste. All right, let's try the plain honey barbecue beef jerky. Here we go. Oh yeah, delicious. Man, that jerky has an amazing hickory flavor. So good. Now let's try our black peppered beef jerky. Again, still the honey barbecue, but we added some black pepper to it. Here's the backside of it. Here we go. Man, that black pepper gives it a really nice kick of spice. Absolutely delicious. Now let's try the red pepper flake beef jerky. Check that out. Here we go. You know what I should have done is I should have combined the black pepper with the red pepper flake. That would have been savage. So let's just sandwich these together. Here we go. That's money. Man, I am really loving the honey barbecue flavor of this jerky kit. Don't forget to check out PS Seasoning. And if you don't have a dehydrator, check out the company Meat. The links will be down below. And thank them for sponsoring today's video. Oh, and just in case you're wondering, I did weigh out the beef jerky, and we ended up with 3 pounds of beef jerky. That means that we lost 50% of the weight during the cooking process, and that's due to the moisture that was extracted from the meat itself. So now that you've got all of this beef jerky, how are you gonna store it? Well, you wanna store it in a glass container, not a plastic bag, not a plastic container. You want it to be airtight. Maybe like a large mason jar, just put all your beef jerky in there, pop it in your fridge, and it will hold for several months. The other thing that I want to mention is that the cure packets that you get inside the beef jerky kit does have sodium nitrite, which will help preserve the beef jerky for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this beef jerky for beginners video. If this is your first time to my channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Until next time, Joe with Smokin Joe's Pit Barbecue. See ya.